Okay, before going in the direction of k nearest neighbor, let me quickly give you the overview of machine learning model working. Okay, yesterday, if you guys remember, I have told you that there is the portion of the data which is going to work as the X-train, X-test, Y-train, Y-test. Let's just quickly understand that how it actually works, and then we will do the quick revision. Okay. So, as you guys know that first, whenever we get the data set in our hand, we have to divide the data into two parts. Okay. First part is your training part. Just a minute. And another part is your test part. Okay. So suppose if you are having 700 or 1000 entries, whatever number of entries you are having, first you have to decide how many percentage you want for the training data set and how many percentage or the remaining percentage will by default go for the test data set. Let's say if I'm having the 1000 entries and I want to consider the 70% as the training data set and 30% as the test data set. So what will happen? 700 entries will go completely to train my model and rest 30% will go for testing of my model, which means how the model actually works and let's say what are the basic, let's say, efficiency or error rate of the model. That is what we are going to check. Chalo. So suppose if I'm going to, we are having two variables. You can say X is your input and Y is your output. We have two distribution of X, which is X train and X test. Similarly, for the Y, we are having Y train and Y test. Okay, so based on this bifurcation, we are going to insert the data inside the ML model. Okay, let's say this is your machine learning model. In the model, we are going to input X train and Y train. That will give me the logic. Now, to check this logic or to test this logic, I am going to give X test to this logic, which is going to give me what? Okay, you want me to zoom in? Why not you try to zoom in? Because it's already zoom in from my end. Okay. What we are going to fit that here, guys. Let's say you are having the logic. Now, inside the logic, what we have to check the logic, what we have to give? X test. X test. That will give me the Y prediction. Now we have to judge what is the efficiency of the model. So we are going to check the differences between the Y prediction and the Y test. Simply what we are going to do, we are going to judge what all entries of Y test are different from the Y pred, and then we will say what is the efficiency of the model. Okay, and on the basis of that, we can also do the future predictions. Okay, now since this is fine, let's recall the first machine learning algorithm which we were talking about yesterday, which is your k nearest neighbor. Okay, so let me just share the screen with the k nearest neighbor PPT. What all we have understood for the k nearest neighbor, if you guys remember, that I told you that k nearest neighbor is for both classification and regression type of model. But as of now, we are picking only for the classification type of data. Okay. Now, since this is for the classification type of data, you can see k nearest neighbor is the algorithm works for the classes, which means you are going to have all the input columns And by the end of that, you will be having one target column. The target column is something which we need to predict, and that is the target column which helps us to decide either to choose classification type of a data or to choose the regression type of a model. Okay, sorry, classification type of a model or regression type of a model. Okay, so that is the only column which is responsible for the judgment of model selection. Okay, now here yesterday we were talking about k-nearest neighbor. We learned some of the things that in the name of the k-nearest neighbor, that is what model seems like. Nearest neighbor, which means what? The neighbors which we are having and how near. Just a minute, guys, it's important. Okay, so we were talking about k-nearest neighbor. Basically, what happens whenever k-nearest neighbor, when we say, first we have to decide the value of k. Okay, and you guys know that the value of k is always going to get decided with the number of entries present in the training data set. That is going to remain constant, guys. Understand, you are going to train your model once. Okay, it is not something like I am giving the data set right now. You are going to train your model today with that data set. Come tomorrow, you are going to train that again. Come tomorrow, you are going to train. No, that is not the case. Because again, yes, it is possible. I'm not denying that training the model every day is not possible. It is, but it turns out to be very expensive. Why? Because the type or the different type of data you are going to give your model, there is a possibility that we have to perform tuning in the model on the basis of that. Okay, so as of now, understand, we are going to train the model only once. Okay, and then later we are going to test it and predict it. Okay, so those who do the testing of the model again and again is the person or are the people who want to, let's say, make the model efficient in nature. Getting it? Right now, our sole motive is not to make the efficient. Our sole motive is just to do the prediction. In near future, when we talk about the efficiency and the error rate, how to tune it, then we will see. Okay. As of now, just understand, once only we are going to train the model. And after the training is done, we are going to do the predictions and we are going to do the efficiency test on it. Okay. Now, k-nearest neighbor, we understood how this actually works. Now I will show you in the sense of data that how it looks like. Which means if I'm going to give the data set to you, if I'm going to give the data set to you, then how this actually going to work in the backend? Okay, suppose you are having a data set, you are having a target feature which is classification in nature. How this is actually going to work in the backend? That is what we are going to see right now. Let me just quickly give you the overview. Yesterday we were talking about the chemical composition of the wine. Okay, and here there was the new data point which we were calling as the unknown glass of wine, and we have to judge which color or which glass of wine it is. Either it is a red wine or a white wine. Okay, so what we have done, we decided the value of k. Here we are assuming, okay, most of the time we declare the value of k as root over training data set. Whenever we get the value of k, we find the nearest number of neighbors depending completely upon the k value. Since we get the nearest number of neighbors, we judge, okay, that what is the majority. We do the voting. Since I can see I have 4 glasses of wine which is coming as red and 1 glass of wine which is coming as white, based on the majority of voting, I am going to declare this glass of wine as the red wine. We have covered till here, and this was the PPT which we were talking about. Now here you look. How does KNN algorithm works? Okay, this is what we are going to talk about. Okay, now how K nearest neighbor algorithm work is the case study kind of. Okay, this is the basic case study which we are doing verbally, and then later we are going to do that practically. Okay, sure. You can see in the classification setting, I'm just reading the line written here. The K nearest neighbor algorithm essentially boils down to forming a majority vote between the K most similar instances to a given unseen observation. This is what we have learned yesterday. And if what I told you guys, a popular one, similarly, let's say unseen observation, similarly is defined according to a distance metric between 2 data points. Yesterday we were talking about the distances as well. That whenever we are having the 2 data points, how we are going to find the distance between them. Okay, so those 2 data points, the distance finding is based completely upon the Euclidean distance. You can see that. A popular one is the Euclidean distance method. Okay, here you can see that this is how you are going to find it. I equals to 1 and K. Okay, I thought I am going to written X here. Chalo, let's see. Now consider this is the basic data set which we are having right now. Okay, now this data set says that customer, age, loan and default. We are having these 4 different type of columns available. Consider it is not necessary that you have to use this model only on such kind of a data. It is just completely associated with the example. Okay, I'm not saying that on such kind of a data set where person is asking for a loan, or the data set which is completely belonging to the loan domain, you have to choose K nearest neighbor. No, that is not my thought. Okay, it is just the basic case study where you can see I have input and target column. Which one is the target feature, guys? Okay. Default one. Just a minute. If Y test and Y prediction not match, it will give error. Of course it will. Request you to please upload the PPTs on Drive. Of course. It's just, guys, today I was quite busy. Let me give you right now here. Okay. So that you want to work with me parallelly, you can. I'm also sharing introduction of machine learning PPT. Introduction. Okay, both of the PPT I have already shared in your chat box. If you guys get time, you can download it and read it. Chalo. Default is, you guys know that it is nothing but the target feature. Now, if you look into the default column, you will by default, or let's say directly judge that this column is completely classified in nature. Okay. Now, if you can see, we are having customer, age and loan. Can we treat them as the input column? Of course. Okay. Now let's consider these 3 columns are input in nature, or we can also call this as input features. Okay. Now this is your default. We can call this as output, and this is Y and this is X. Okay. Customer, age and loan. This is X and this is your Y. What it is showing, we need to predict Andrew's default status by using Euclidean distance. Now guys, understand this thing very carefully. We were having already the data set till here, which has the target column already available. Okay, which means we have input data, and we have already predicted target column. It is nothing but the historical data set, you can say. Fact, or let's say it is something which already happened in the history. Now there is one new customer coming into the picture called as Andrew, to which we have to find the loan status. Okay, we need to predict Andrew's default loan status, if it is yes or no, what it is. Okay, okay, now just a second, let me zoom this a bit. Okay, this is the data set, how it is looking like. Just So here you can see we need to predict Andrew's default loan status. Okay. Yeah. Just a bit. It's not getting resized properly. Okay. So, Andrew 48142000. Guys, you can understand this is the age and this is the loan status. Now we have to find the Euclidean distance of Andrew with every other customer present in the data set. Getting it? Which means Andrew is the new data point and we have to check the distance of Andrew with rest of the data points. Let's say Jack is 1, Jim is 2nd, George is 3rd, Pat, Anil, Mark, Kate, like that we have different customers. And since this is the new customer, we have to check the distance of Andrew with Jack, Andrew with Jim, Andrew with George, like this. Okay, the first step is to calculate the Euclidean distance. Square root of x1 minus y1 plus x2 minus y2 whole square. So you can see first we are picking this column as age. Okay, guys, do you understand? Customer is one feature which has no relevance here because it is string type of a data and we cannot judge somebody's loan status based on the name, right? I cannot say that, okay, your name is Shabangi, I'm going to give you a loan. Why? What on what basis? I don't know. Okay, so we cannot consider this particular customer column while doing the prediction because it has no relevance in finding the patterns. Now coming back to the point, we are having the age as one of our column. And what is the first step? It is calculating the Euclidean distance. Now square root of whole over square root of x1 comma minus y1. You can see we are having 48 and 25, which is of John. So consider, guys, I was yesterday writing x1 minus x2, right? So this is the same thing happening. In the vector, we were picking xx within the same vector. It is also picking the same vector thing only. Here we are having 48 for the Andrew and we are having 25 for the John, which means we are picking the value of same feature. So the formula is same. We are picking the value same. It's just the, you can say, the visual is different. They are writing y. They are considering that as 1. Okay. So x1 minus y1, which means 48 minus 25 to the whole square. 48 minus 35 to the whole square. 48 minus 45 to the whole square. That is somewhat like this. We are going to do for the age. Now what for the another feature, which is loan? Consider what all features are numerical in nature. We can find the distance of those. Getting it? Okay. K nearest neighbor works on numbers and your whole machine learning model works on numbers. Because since the concept of Euclidean distance is coming into the picture, we need to remember one thing, that I cannot find the distance between some string type of a value, right? It makes sense, right? So, since you can see how this is calculating the distance, for Andrew and John, it is considering the root over of age first, which means the Andrew age minus John's age to the whole square. plus the second feature. What is the second feature? Andrew's loan amount, which is 142,000 minus John's loan amount, which is 40,000 near about. I'm going to subtract them up, square them up, rooting them over, which will give me the distance of Euclidean somewhat near to 102,000. Now, the point is we have only calculated this distance from Andrew and John. From Andrew to John, you can say. Now, you have to calculate the same distance from Andrew to Smith as well, from Andrew to Alex as well, Jade and Andrew to Kate, Andrew to Mark, likewise every data point, and consider the numerical one into the picture. You can see that? We need to calculate the distance of all the data points. Now you guys are getting why it turns out to be expensive. Yesterday when I introduced you this algorithm, what I told you, that k-nearest neighbor are highly getting, k-nearest neighbor model is that kind of a model which usually gets used in a highest, or let's say topmost business websites, or let's say topmost business companies or organizations. Why? What is the reason? Because you can see this is, we are finding the distances, we are keeping it very much accurate and calculative. It gives, or it turns out to be very efficient in nature as well. That's what we need to keep it in mind. Although it costs more, the costing, when I'm saying cost, it means pocket. I'm talking about money, in the sense of money. It costs you a lot, but at the same time, it will give you the good and better efficiency. Let's say if I'm going to put $100 on my model, the return of this model will lead me to the $1,000. That's much efficient it is. Let's say your Netflix recommendation system, if it is able to gather or audience by recommending, let's say it is recommending 100 audience, and we are having at least 80 audience following that recommendation, still my business is growing, my playtime is growing. In that sense, of course, the application of this model in some organization turns out to be very expensive, but this is the prediction and the accuracy of this is very high. Okay. Doing calculation one by one for small data set is okay. But what if we are having the big data set? That's what I'm talking about. Don't worry. N number of data entries you are having, still this model is going to work. I'm not saying that it is not going to work, but it is going to give you the higher cost. Okay. The implementation is required. You must be needing the extra memory. Okay. For saving this Euclidean distance for every data point one by one. Okay. We will see that later. Advantages and disadvantages. Just understand that the model does not depend upon the number of entries in the data set. Even if you give a lakh of entry, this is going to work perfectly fine, but it will cost you more. Okay. It will turn out to be expensive for any normal day user. Okay. So since this is the data point from one to another, we are going to find the Euclidean distance one by one. Okay. So this is for Andrew, guys. Understand that. Suppose I have 5 new entries whose default loan status is unknown. So what we have to do in that case? First, I have to find the default loan status of Andrew by this procedure. Later, I have to find the default loan procedure of another person with this similar procedure. Likewise. Okay, one do this. Now, once we decided the Euclidean distance, we have to find the value of k. The best part here in our case that we don't need to calculate the Euclidean distance manually. Okay, it is not required. We are not going to calculate it manually. It is although going to get calculated in the model itself, everything is automated inbuilt. Okay. Now, since we found the Euclidean distance, what we are doing right now is finding the nearest neighbor. From Andrew, I'm going to see the least 5 distance. As I can see, there is first one, which is 8,000. The second one, which is 22,000. Third one is 42,000. And fourth one is 47,000. Fifth one is 62,000. Here the value of K turns out to be 5. That's why we are doing the voting like this. Whenever the value of K is 6 or 7, we will go more than 62 as well, which is going to be 78 or 80 or then 82. Based on that, we are going to check the majority. What do you guys think? What majority we are going to check off? क्या लगता है? What is the default loan status of Andrew is going to be according to you? Yes, anybody? We have almost done 80% of the task. Now you just need to judge the Andrew's default loan status. Why? Which means yes, because you can see the majority of voting is getting happened here. One is having the voting as yes. Two is having the voting as no. Okay, one for yes, one for no. Three is having the voting for yes, which means two for yes, one for no. Three is again having three for yes, one for no. Three for yes, two for no's. What is the majority, guys? Three. What is the default loan status of Andrew?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Likewise, we are going to capture all the data set of which we have to predict the default loan status and understand one thing, that this is the reason why it turns out to be expensive. That we have to do this task again and again every time whenever we get the new data point. And practically it is possible, but it turns out to be quite expensive. Now, since we understood the model, let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages. Then we try to apply this model in the data set, okay? Just a moment. Okay. Pros of K nearest neighbor, cons of K nearest neighbor. Understand this thing here itself only, because once we will get our hands dirty in the model, such things are not going to give you much value in that case. Okay, which means there we have a lot of things to remember. So here itself, remember what are the pros and cons of K nearest neighbor. As you can see, when we are talking about pros and cons, what is the pro? Pro means we are having the advantage, right? What are the advantages? Simple to implement. You can see how it is easy to understand. And the implementation of this is very easy as well. How come? Why it is easy? Because when we say that it is simple to implement, which means I'm saying that it is simple to understand and it is simple to judge patterns. Since you can see everything is getting calculated, it's very simple that I just need to learn the formula of Euclidean distance and then judge it. Second one, flexible to the features, distances choice, which means as of now, you want some particular features to take participation in that, you can do that. You want some distance, type of a distance. Yesterday, if you guys remember, we were talking about two different type of distance, right? The first one was your Euclidean distance and the another one was Manhattan distance, right? So in that case, if you guys remember, it says that it is flexible to the feature and distance choices, which means if you want to change the distance to, let's say, Manhattan, you can do that as well. It is open. Naturally handles multi-class cases. There's more than one output, you cannot say. Two classes or more than one class is the correct answer. As you can see that in the previous example, we were having the default loan status as yes and no, right? How many classes were there in this case? Two classes. So suppose if you are having more than two classes, let's say the parties like your BJP and BSP and NDA to IN, DIA, Congress. So what is happening here? We are having multiple classes. Consider the classes as the breeds of dog. Okay, there are different breeds of dog: German Shepherd, and then Pomeranian, and then Labrador, and then whatever it is. Okay, Siberian Husky, all of them. These are the different classes. So it is telling you that it is not necessary that you are going to deal with only two class. Even if your data is multi-class in nature, still it is going to give you the good answer. It is going to naturally handle them. Okay, can do well in practice with enough representative data, which means if you are going to give more features, more numbers to understand, it is going to give you best type of answers, which means more training data, more different type of features, the best it is for the understanding. Okay. Now the cons of k nearest neighbor. The cons of k nearest neighbor is very, very easy, because that's what I'm screaming from the starting of the algo, that it needs to determine the parameter of k, number of the nearest neighbor. Now let me tell you guys, the optimized determination calculation for the k is root over training value. Okay, but let's say what if we have other type of calculation for the k as well. We just consider this root over trained data set to be the optimized one. Okay, so it is telling you that we need to determine the parameter of k, and we are not sure. Sometimes it can go here and there as well. Okay, so the precision problem is going to happen here in this case. Okay. Computation cost is quite high because we need to compute the distance of each query instance of all the training samples, storage of data. Now, do you understand why I was saying that we must be needing external or extra memory for storing the k nearest neighbor model entries? Why? Because suppose if you are doing prediction for 5 customers, so you need to store the Euclidean distance. You're getting it? For 5 customer, they are going to cost you 5 different columns for storing the Euclidean distance, which means there's a possibility that it might require extra storage space to store that Euclidean distance and later use it for the voting. Okay, that is why we say that the computational cost is quite high. Also, it requires the storage of data every now and then. Getting it? And understand one thing, output column and target column is going to be one only. But there are possibilities that within that target column, you can have multiple classes. Okay? Is it fine till here? Do we have any sort of questions? Because now we are going to hop into the Jupyter Notebook. Yes, no, maybe. No questions, right? Chalo.
Inka, I have a question. Do we have a method of optimizing finding the distance? Like for example, let's say that for X point, we find the distance from 2 points Y and Z, and we determine that the distance from Y is already greater than some standard threshold, and we do not, go and find the distances from the other points that already are more than that.
Okay. So yeah, that is the good choice. But basically what happened, you can see that data always gets selected for the training data set randomly. Getting it? So since when you run the model again and again, you must be having the concept knowledge for this, that whenever you distribute, let's say these are 700 entries, whenever I'm going to distribute this as the train one and the rest 300 as the test. So basically what happened, this 1000 entries are randomly getting distributed between train and test. Okay. Now if I'm going to run the model again, there is a possibility that these are going to get shuffled again. 700 and 300 will get different kind of entries. Okay. So deciding the threshold here will get difficult. Okay. Because there is a possibility that while I'm running the model for Andrew, the threshold could be something else. But if I'm running the model for myself, let's say, for one more entry, again, the points or data points will get shuffled and decision of the threshold will get difficult for us. Getting it? That's why it is randomized completely. We cannot decide that where to stop. Getting it? And decision threshold is also difficult. So guys, now we have to apply this model into your data set. What is the data set which I have given you? This is the social networking ad. Consider this as your practice model, okay? Which means we are trying to implement the machine learning model on the very simple data. Once we will move forward, we will pick up bit difficult type of data and then we will talk about those type of data sets. And also let me tell you one thing, since you are learning machine learning models with me, 1 or 2 model we are going to complete. I will give you one case study which you guys are going to complete within 3 days and we'll be having discussion here in the live session. Okay, because I have seen most of the people, they learn machine learning by just looking into the screen, understanding the algorithm, everything is done and dusted, but they actually don't know what is happening. Okay, and nobody will ask you in the interview to run the model and show us the output. But yes, they are going to drill you. Okay, which means they will ask you very minute details. Okay, like what is the value? You will say that which one is your favorite model? You will say K nearest neighbor. So they will ask you how you decide the value of K. Okay, then they will ask you what if there is a tiebreaker? Then they will ask you, do we have another method for finding the distance in K nearest neighbor? Or they will ask you, is my K nearest neighbor model open for any other distance choice other than Euclidean distance? What do you guys think? If I want to change the Euclidean distance to the Manhattan one, is it possible in the K nearest neighbor? If I want to change the Euclidean distance to the Manhattan distance, okay, I don't find Euclidean distance to be precise one. My business problem is saying that I have to follow the Manhattan distance for finding the distance in the K nearest neighbor model. So my model is that much flexible that it will allow me to choose Manhattan over Euclidean. Yes. Okay. I'm not blaming anybody. Since it is very fresh for you, you can see here only flexible for feature and distance choices, guys. Second advantage, right? So such kind of basic questions they are going to ask you. Okay, so let's talk about how we can implement this. And while implementing, they will also ask you some lines of codes, that how you are going to select randomly variables, things like to the Jupyter. Okay, Spider is one console similar to that as of your PyCharm. Okay, there machine learning, writing codes for machine learning becomes easy. So this is K nearest neighbor classifier. Chalo. I'm importing the data set. Import pandas as PD. Now guys, we are done with Python. We are done with stats as well. Nobody will act like newcomer baby that we don't know how to read the data set. Point number one. Point number two, every library which is going to get used, we are going to write here only within the same cell. Okay? Chalo. PD dot read underscore CSV. Read the data set, guys. I am reading for myself. Social. Social network ads. Get info. It is there in my downloads. And the name is CSV. Okay, if I run it, yes. I'm storing that in my df variable, and my df variable is looking like okay. Now, let's do one thing. Let's check the data type. I'm simply writing df.dtypes. You can see user ID integer, gender object, age integer, estimated salary integer, purchase or not integer. Now guys, is it somewhat looking like your loan data set? If you guys can see. If you find the relevance, you will find that in your loan data set in which we were talking about, the user ID was there, loan ID. The name of the customer was there. Here we are having one gender. Age was there, and the estimated salary or the loan amount in that case were there. Okay. So as I told you, we have to select the input and the target feature. We know that the target feature is going to be the purchase one, and it is looking somewhat like an integer, but it is going to be the classified one because we are having only two values, which is 0 and 1. Okay. Point number 2, estimated salary and age, we are going to consider them as the input. Now you will ask me, why not user ID? Why not gender? Point number 1, gender is string type of a value. Finding the Euclidean distance for the string type of a value is impossible. Point number 2, we are having the user ID. What do you guys think? Do we have any sort of relevance of user ID by finding the purchase ad? No.
No.
Suppose if I ask you, and what it is all about, guys, when we say that social network ads, some later day, if you guys remember, we were talking about the binomial distribution, right? In that case, if you guys remember, we were talking about CTR, click-through rate, right? It's the same thing. But this is not CTR. It is telling you that suppose if you click on some ad, are you going to purchase that ad from that ad or not? For example, let's say you guys are normally scrolling Myntra. Okay, you found a cute dress on Myntra. Now you want to order it, but you kept that in your cart, or you might have left that on scene. Okay, so what will happen? You will see the pop-up notification of the similar dress in some websites where they allowed the advertisement. So you again got fascinated. You clicked on that application, or let's say advertisement. After clicking on that advertisement, or you thought of buying that product. So what is happening? They are judging that if you are clicking on any advertisement present on the social network site, are you going to buy that, or you are just randomly scrolling it? Similarly, in your Instagram, you must be watching the sponsored advertisement, right? So every time you go in that page, you look some of the things present there. If you like some things, you buy it. If you don't, you leave it, right? So it is all about, the data set is all about that. Okay, so I guess what? you guys need to understand that we don't have any sort of relevance while finding the ads purchased or not based on the user ID. I'm leaving that as it is. Now it is about gender. It is string type of a data. Leave that as well. Now we have age and estimated salary. We are going to consider them up. Now we have to check X and Y, guys. Okay. Now for checking of X and Y, or let's say distribution of X and Y, we have to select these two columns along with all the rows. Okay, age and estimated salary. Now is the high time that if you guys need to remember that we have something called as ILOC. Getting it? If you guys remember what is the purpose of ILOC? ILOC helps you to extract the data. Okay, since I'm simply writing df.iloc, inside that, for selection index position of column, guys, this is 0th index position, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so can we simply write 2 to 4 as our X? If you want to check your X, 2 to 4, right? I should remove this. Then only it is going to pick up 2 to 4. Alright, age and estimated salaries. You can simply write df.iloc, all the rows. And since we have to pick the column, which is the last one, you can simply write -1 as well. Okay, but that should be inside the square brackets because it is the index. Okay, we're not going to write -1 normally. So yeah, you can see it is fetching the value for you. Okay, just give me a moment. I feel like my internet is not working properly. Okay. Since we selected the X and Y, what is the next thing which we have to do is splitting the training and test data. Okay, X and Y are selected. Now we have to split the data set into train and test. Okay, so I'm simply writing from sklearn dot model selection. Guys, this is something which we have to write every time for the training and test splitting. sklearn dot model selection, import train test split. Getting it? So we are having one library called as sklearn. The full form of sklearn is scikit-learn, and from that sklearn we have one model selection package. From that we are selecting or choosing the train test split module. Okay, now this train test split will help me to split the data set into the training and test format. Okay, just giving you a while so that you can jot it down. Usually I tend to write this within the same cell, but I'm showing you the basic practice, how it should be. Okay, so let me write it down. For splitting the data. Okay, I hope it's done. I'm scrolling this bit down. Now we are going to split the data set with train test. If you guys remember, we were saying that it is X train X test, Y train Y test. Writing that down. Guys, and the formation, or let's say the alignment of this X train X test, you cannot shuffle it. You have to write that. You have to write them like this only. Okay, let's say first you have to mention necessarily X train. Then you have to necessarily mention X test. Then you have to necessarily mention Y train, which means what I'm trying to say, that your alignment should be this much, this only. Okay, you cannot shuffle the position of the variables. You cannot write X test first and then X train later. Okay, Just keep the alignment like this only. Y test. Okay. Now this is focus here. This is something for us to understand. If you guys remember what we have done, we have given 4 different variables, all with the alignment like this. Once this is done, give me a minute. Module here, simply writing it down. Train, test, split. Inside that, you have to mention your both of the data set, which is X and Y. You know, X is the input data, Y is the target data. And then you have to mention your test size. What is the test size? Which means the splitting. How you want it to be splitted. Let's say 70-30%, 80-20%, like that. Okay. So simply I am writing 0.3. I'm saying that random state. Which means, you guys know what I told you? That the data set is going to get distributed randomly, right? Which means training test is going to get decided randomly. Okay, so we have to fix the random state while the running of the model. So you can give any number here as the random state. We don't have any relevance here of the number. If you guys remember, we learned NumPy, right? So in NumPy, np.seed was there, right? So what that np.seed was helping us to maintain the randomness of the NumPy array, right? So this is the similar thing, random state. That will help us to fix the randomness of this train test split. Okay. Till here, are we good? Just let me know, okay? I'm running it. Okay, not defined because I forgot to run this cell. Wait a second. I don't know. Okay, system update is there. That's why it's slow. Running it. Okay. Now, guys, if you want to check the size of X train, you can see we are having 5. That should be shaped, my bad. Okay. 280, 2. What all number of rows we are having? 400. Okay. So training 280, 2. 280 rows, 2 columns. If you similarly check for the Y test, dot shape, 120, 1. Okay. Now, if you check, you will see that randomly the columns, or let's say randomly the rows are getting selected. You can see the index position. Okay. Now, since the splitting of the data is done, the next thing is putting the data set inside the machine learning model. Okay. So now we have to select the model from sklearn itself. Scrolling that up again, we have to read the library from here. Let's say, again from sklearn dot neighbors. And this is the line which is what I told you. This line is going to remain constant every time we are going to split the data. Okay. Which is going to get changed every time because we are going to change the model. Okay. So from sklearn dot neighbor, import k neighbors classifier. Please be cautious because it is case sensitive. Okay. And guys, if you still not feeling, let's say you are missing the spellings or something, just click on the tab. It will give you the recommendation. Okay, that which one you want to select. So you can directly select from here. right half of the thing, press tab, will give you option, select from that. Done. Now guys, we are going to fit the model inside. We are going to fit the data set inside the model, okay? So simply I am writing one variable. Let's say the variable name here I'm choosing as KNN equals to K neighbors classifier. Inside that there is one variable which we have to write called as N neighbors. Okay. Now in N neighbors, we have to select or mention the value of K. Okay. So we have to decide whatever the value of K is going to be in that case. Over 280 because the size of my training data set is
16.7.
16.73. Now 73 will help us to round it off in positive direction, which will take us to the 7 inside the model. Okay, so simply writing KNN, which is nothing but this variable name. Simply writing dot fit for fitting the data set inside the model. What we are going to fit, guys? X train and Y train. The same thing we are doing here. Okay, what I told you that there is going to be the model, and inside the model you are going to give X train and Y train. Then it is going to give you some logic, right? Once it is going to give you the logic after fitting the X train and Y train inside this variable KNN, what is the next thing? To test it. How we are going to test it? Simply write KNN, again the same variable name, dot predict. Inside that, we have to mention what? X test. And I am saving that in the variable Y prediction. Okay, this is going to give me the Y pred value. We already have Y test value, which is the original value. Similarly, we are going to get the predicted value for that. Okay, I'm running this simply. Okay, X test. Test is it. Okay. It is giving warning for me. Just ignore the warning of no use. Okay, let's check how my Y pred is actually looking like. You can see this is one array. Now I am similarly pasting Y test. You can see this is the similar array matching to this. You can see for this we are having 0. Here we are having 0. Correct prediction. We are having 0 here. 0 again. Correct prediction. Like that we can check the Y test and Y pred. We can cross verify them. Okay. Where it is matching and where it is not. So first 5 entries are 0. First 5 entries are 0 since it is not giving me here. So